Now, Doug Proffitt, Rachel Platt, Gary Rizzo's weather, and Gary Montgomery with sports. Next on the Action 11 News Weekend Edition on WHAS-TV.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Doug Proffitt. Rachel Platt is off tonight. A South Louisville tavern is leveled tonight after an early morning explosion ripped through the building. Louisville fire investigators believe the blast may have been caused by a buildup of gas fumes. There is good news. A man who was feared buried underneath the rubble suddenly showed up, alive and well. Action 11's Paula Campbell reports from the scene.
Splinters of wood, broken bricks, and slivers of glass are all that's left of Ruthie's Tavern. The explosion occurred around 10 this morning. At the same time, the driver of this tanker was pumping gas into the pumps at this convenience store. The pressure from the blast blew out the windows of the store and rocked the neighborhood. The driver, Roger Perkins, escaped from the blast unharmed, but was visibly shaken after looking at the demolished building.
No, I didn't see anything. I was just standing there, and then the next thing I know, it just blew up.
But the biggest concern was the absence of tavern custodian William Burton, who was supposedly already at work when the explosion occurred. Fearing the worst, Louisville firefighters quickly and carefully peeled away at the debris, hoping to find him still alive.
I've been calling. Damn it. You come over here and see the fire captain, okay? Okay? Okay, baby, I gotta go see the fire captain. Come on, hon, you can come with me. Everything's all right?
Nearly an hour and a half later, Burton walked up from the alley, safe and unharmed. Burton says he usually goes into work before 10 to get an early start. Today, he was running late.
Well, I'm glad I didn't come in early today on account of Super Bowl day.
4 people standing outside of a nearby apartment building were slightly injured from flying debris. They were transported to University Hospital. Firefighters aren't sure what caused the explosion, but believe it could be related to the gas tanks.
We feel it's just too much of a coincidence to have a truck right next to the building pumping gasoline at the same time we have an explosion with no other reason to believe, nothing else that we can identify now that would cause an explosion of that magnitude.
Firefighters are now searching through the debris looking for clues. They say it may be several days before they know the exact cause of the explosion. Paula Campbell, Action 11 News.
The latest in the Gulf War tonight. For the first time in almost a week, there were no reports of Scud missile attacks on either Saudi Arabia or Israel. The Allied bombing campaign continued its grueling pace, but the latest attacks were aimed at stopping the flow of oil into the Persian Gulf. Here's more from ABC News.
General Schwarzkopf began by laying the responsibility for the oil spill directly on Iraq's doorstep.
I can tell you that we see absolutely no indication at all, that any U.S. military action caused this to happen.
He then explained a two-phase plan to deal with the leak. The first step was to set fire to the source of the slick, spigots used to load supertankers offshore at a Kuwaiti terminal.
We just happened to have a circumstantial happening out here at the Sea Island terminal. The United States Navy encountered a small boat. They engaged that boat. That boat happened to be next to the Sea Island terminal, and as a result of that engagement, the Sea Island terminal caught fire.
F-111s then bombed inland control manifolds that fed oil from pipelines into the terminal. The general used dramatic footage of the attack to illustrate his remarks.
And you're looking right through the nose of the guided munition as it's flown straight into the small manifold area to destroy it.
Photographs taken after the raid show the fireball at the leak site diminishing, but it will be more than 24 hours before it's known if the oil flow into the Gulf has been stopped completely. John Lyons, ABC News, Saudi Arabia.
One of the area's largest Desert Storm support groups held a rally today that one soldier said proved to him that what he's about to do is the right thing. The songs, the prayers, the flags, and the ribbons are symbols of support that many say have increased in their numbers ever since war protests broke out.
Glory, glory, hallelujah.
Tears streamed down the faces of people with loved ones in Saudi Arabia. Close to 300 people packed in the Henry County Courthouse to sing patriotic songs and honor the soldiers from this county and Oldham and Shelby who are fighting in the desert.
We'd like to present this flag to our county judge, Tommy Bryan, and ask that if possible, this flag be put up in our courthouse yard, flung with maybe our stars and stripes.
There were messages aimed at war protesters.
We are fortunate to live in America. We don't live with the fear that our neighborhoods are going to be destroyed by enemy gunfire.
Letters from soldiers were read, and the high school band belted out patriotic tunes one after another.
Thank you, America, and thank you, the boys of Henry, Oldham, Shelby, and the other 120 counties across the Kentucky.
He just starts getting them singing. He's got the whole world in his hand. Okay. Try to close this one up.
Then the crowd moved outdoors under the steady, cold rain and joined hands. The goal, to reach around the courthouse, about 1,000 feet. The idea worked, even for people who just came to participate.
As I say, I have no personal stake in it, but felt like I should be here.
Does it make you upset when you see war protesters on television on the streets?
It's part of our freedom, but I don't agree with it. So, you know, not upset, but I'd rather they didn't do it.
The group walked around the courthouse singing. For specialist Paul Downey, who leaves for the desert next week, it was a bittersweet celebration.
I think I should have already been over there supporting the guys that's already there. I feel like I'm just kind of lagging behind, but I'll be there soon enough, I reckon, and I'll make up for it.
In Henry County, strong support for the war and its residents who are helping fight the battle. By the way, the Henry County Support Group says it has now moved its meetings to Monday nights. Tomorrow, 2 POWs will talk to the crowd. Support from the home front continues to grow strong for the troops in the Gulf. For the second week in a row, members of VFW posts throughout southern Indiana held a rally to demonstrate their support for Operation Desert Storm. This time, nearly 400 people gathered in New Albany waving the American flag to back the soldiers in the Persian Gulf. For many with family in the Middle East, the demonstration helps them deal with the agony of war.
I have a stepson over there, and I think about him a lot, and I hope that he knows I'm here and makes him feel better.
It makes me feel good that I'm behind him all the way, and it makes me feel good to see all these people out here.
Rally organizers say they will continue holding support rallies until the war is over. The next one is planned for February 2nd. A Super Bowl party was raided by Jefferson County Police tonight on the Outer Loop. Slot machines and other gambling devices were hauled out of the Fraternal Order of the Elks Club. The County Police Department's Vice Squad handed out 8 citations. No arrests were made, according to Sergeant Bill Carcara.
Slot machines, poker machines, pull tabs, and other gambling that's not permitted in a licensed establishment.
How does it relate to the Super Bowl?
It's directly related. Today's their big Super Bowl party, and the block game, which an individual buys a block for X amount of money, and whatever the score is, that's how to determine the winner. That was directly related to the outcome of the football game.
Carcara says between $2,000 to $3,000 in cash was confiscated. Charges range from possession of gambling devices to promoting gambling. Club officials were offered a chance to comment to Action 11 News tonight, but most of the people preferred to stay inside the packed building, and the party was allowed to resume by police without the slot machines. Up next here on Action 11, one person is killed on the slick roads today as freezing rain makes a mess of traffic and a long day for local EMS crews. Icy road conditions caused hundreds of traffic accidents throughout the Louisville area earlier today. The worst spots were on bridges and overpasses where slick roads caused cars to skid out of control, like this one on the Gene Snyder Freeway near US 60. Motorists traveling on expressways and interstates found themselves in traffic gridlocks. Jefferson County Police report as many as 75 wrecks in a 2.5-hour period due to the bad weather. Louisville police are investigating over 100 accidents in the city today, including 1 injury and a fatal crash. Well, the freezing rain is being blamed for a fatal accident on Trevelyan Way near the Louisville Zoo. Louisville police say 85-year-old Bernice Hampton was traveling west on Trevelyan near Tycoon Road. Police say ice on the bridge over Beargrass Creek caused Hampton to lose control of her car.
And as it came across the overpass behind us here, it had what appears to be a glaze of ice on it, and the lady lost control of the vehicle, went down over the embankment, and impacted this tree on the passenger side. Hampton was pronounced dead at the scene. Police say she was not wearing her seatbelt.
Her daughter, 67-year-old Virginia Hampton, a passenger in the car, was wearing her seatbelt. She was taken to Louisville's Audubon Hospital, where she is in stable condition tonight. And a 13-year-old girl is in serious condition tonight after the car she was in lost control on slick roads this afternoon. Police say the car, driven by the girl's mother, was trying to avoid a truck on the side of Interstate 64 near the 22-mile marker. The car lost control and hit the truck, throwing the 13-year-old. Jennifer Biles was transported to University Hospital by stat flight with multiple injuries. The girl's mother and younger brother and sister were taken to University Hospital by ambulance. Their conditions are not yet available tonight, and the driver of the truck was not hurt. Jefferson County Police are asking for the public's help in locating a missing mentally handicapped man. Police say 25-year-old James Hawkins, who is severely mentally handicapped, left his home in the 8400 block of Cane Run Road on Friday. Hawkins was last seen Friday night near Cosmosdale on Dixie Highway. He is described as 5 foot 7 inches tall, wearing dark blue coveralls and a gray hooded sweatshirt. Anyone who sees Hawkins is asked to call Jefferson County Police. Their number is 588-2111. Still to come on Action 11, improving weather on the way for Kentuckiana, the latest on the rain around the area when we return. Before we move on to the weather, we have a quick correction to pass on to you in the story about the illegal gambling raid on Outer Loop that I read earlier. I said the Elks Club. That is not correct. We meant the Fraternal Order of the Eagles Club located on Outer Loop. Let's go now to Gary Rizzo, and this weather has been something else. A lot of accidents and a lot of rain.
We did. If had it been all snow, we'd have had several inches, but surprisingly, we've come full circle. We're now back to all snow in the Louisville area, but the good news is that will be short-lived, and it is in the process of ending, which will minimize driving problems overnight. We'll look at current conditions. Even though we have snow, the temperature in Louisville is well above freezing. It's now 35 degrees. It is dropping. The humidity stands at 92%. We have a northwest wind at 8 miles per hour, giving us a wind chill reading of 25, and the barometer is rising. The high occurred this evening after nightfall, 43 degrees. Early morning low was 17. We've picked up nearly a ½ an inch of precipitation. January and 1990 totals are surprisingly about where they should be for the first 27 days of the month. Action track color radar from the National Weather Service shows large area precipitation. Now the rain-snow line stretches from near Frankfort to about Elizabethtown. To the east, it's still raining some heavy rain around Danville at this time. And this is the true back edge of the precipitation. It is ending across much of south-central Indiana, and it has pretty well ended at Owensboro. All the movement is to the east. It looks like another 1 to 2 hours of light snow with temperatures mainly above the freezing mark. So any accumulation will be on grassy surfaces and should be under an inch. The current regional satellite picture shows the entire storm system over the eastern third of the nation, all moving off to the east. The brighter white clouds are beginning to exit the Ohio Valley. A little processing problem with the satellite picture. Regional airports out here show mostly clear skies, so it is mostly clear across the Mississippi Valley, and that will be moving in. The problem is, though, with all the rain and moisture, we will have some dense fog patches develop overnight. With mostly fair skies, it's 20 degrees at South Bend. It is only partly cloudy now at Indianapolis, and they're at 25. Warm spot, cold front has yet to go through Lexington, and they're at 42. Here's a frontal system. It pretty much crosses the central part of the Commonwealth, and it changes the rain to snow, very thin area of snow. All eyes are focused on this large cold front, another installment of frigid air coming down out of Canada. Temperatures have yet to really drop at the U.S.-Canadian border, so right ahead of the front, it was fairly mild today, and temperatures were above freezing into southern Minnesota, and fairly cool and tranquil in the western third of the country. But it is going to drop south. It's going to mainly affect the Rockies for tomorrow. Another front, this is the leading edge of it as well, and when it stalls in the Ohio Valley midweek, there could be the beginnings of a significant winter storm for the Midwest and parts of the Ohio Valley. At least the potential is there. Here's the forecast, though, for the overnight hours. It looks like any rain will change over to all wet snow, little or no accumulation. Patchy fog may be a concern to motorists, though, overnight with a low of 31. And tomorrow, early morning fog will give way to partly to mostly sunny skies. The high will be 43. For tomorrow night, partly cloudy, cooler, low of 26. And the next storm system sending rain late Tuesday, a mixture of rain, sleet, and snow on Wednesday with temperatures around 32, and snow showers, windy and colder on Thursday with a high of 24. So we're not quite done dealing with the effects of Old Man Winter.
No, sir. Thank you very much, Gary. Still to come, a look at some of the people working overtime to keep the armed forces supplied with bombs. Allied aircraft in the Persian Gulf have flown 22,000 sorties since the war began a week and a half ago, dropping bombs across Kuwait. Those bombs are being replaced by workers in the Army ammunition plant in McAllister, Oklahoma.
The U.S. Army ammunition plant in McAllister, Oklahoma is one of the nation's largest manufacturers of military bombs. Firepower in the untold thousands is stored on the grounds here, rockets, bombs, and bullets. And yet, plant workers are making more. These 1,000-pound bombs are part of a rush order for the Navy. The explosives are coated with a fire-resistant thermal paint for added protection in the event a Navy vessel is hit. The yellow stripes signify that these are live bombs. For more than a month now, the McAllister Army ammunition plant has been operating around the clock. Many of these workers are putting in 12-hour days, 7 days a week. But none of them I spoke with seem to mind.
Most guys are really offering to work real hard, work long hours, 10, 14 hours a day. They ask us to do a job, we stay till we get it done.
We're just very pleased with the way that people have responded, not only the old hands who've been here for 20 or 30 years, but the new people that we've hired over the past couple of months have responded magnificently to get the job done.
More than 100 people have already been hired to help fill orders for bombs, and hundreds more are applying for anticipated jobs in the near future. This was the final day to fill out an application.
I got five of us in the family, 3 children, so I wanted to upgrade my work just a little.
Others are applying for different reasons.
Yes, I have a son in the Air Force.
Some of these bombs will be shipped directly to the Persian Gulf. Many others will refill stocks emptied to supply the Mideast force. This is Brad Rogers reporting.
Like many people here at home, some of the soldiers deployed to the Persian Gulf looked to the Super Bowl to create a short diversion from the war. Through the use of satellites, today's big game was broadcast to those soldiers in the Gulf who could watch television. It was 2 a.m. Saudi Arabia time at kickoff. But many of the soldiers showed up just for the chance to feel a little closer to home. Well, there is a new football champion tonight, and up next, Gary Montgomery with all the plays that got them there. Complete Super Bowl highlights. Here's Gary Montgomery, and tonight's Super Bowl lived up to all the hype in many ways, including the amazing fact that they had those sweatshirts printed up with a final score just seconds after the game ended.
Somebody's out there doing that. Somebody's thinking ahead all the time. The New York Giants defense certainly lived up to its billing, but it was ball control offense of the Giants that won Super Bowl 25. The Giants held the ball 40 of the game's 60 minutes. And the Giants took the early lead. They jumped on top 3-0 on this field goal by Matt Barr. It's good from 28 yards out. The Giants hit the board on their first possession. But the Bills struck on their next possession. Jim Kelly connects with Andre Reed on the deflected pass right here. He gets the Bills inside the 10-yard line. They settled for a field goal to tie the game at 3. Now to the second quarter. The Bills continued their attack in the air. Short passes like this one. Kelly to Thomas, and the Bills are on the move, marching downfield. They hit the end zone when Donnie Smith gets the call, goes in on the short plunge. The Bills are on top 10-3. Well, Buffalo's defense was giving the Giants fits. They got to quarterback Jeff Hostetler right here, sacked him in the end zone. 2 more points for the Bills, and their lead is now 12-3. But just before the half came to an end, the Giants hit pay dirt. Scored on the Hostetler pass to Stephen Baker, a 9-yard scoring strike to trim the Bills' lead down to 12-10 at halftime. Into the third quarter, the Giants set a Super Bowl record. On their first drive in the third quarter, they held the ball for 9 minutes and 26 seconds. 29 seconds, that was. It's the longest scoring drive and the length of time, that is, in Super Bowl history. Otis Anderson ending the drive with the touchdown, and the Giants are back on top 17-12. But the Bills came back. In the fourth quarter, running back Thurman Thomas broke loose. He is off for 31 yards, and he hits for the touchdown. So the Bills go back on top now. The score is 19-7. Then the Giants take control. They drive close, but had to settle for the field goal. Matt Barr, 21 yards, and that puts the Giants back in the lead 20-19. It all came down to the Bills' final possession when Bills kicker Scott Norwood was called on to try the 47-yard field goal. His attempt was long enough, but it was wide right. And the Giants walk away with the victory in the closest Super Bowl ever. Final score, the New York Giants 20, the Buffalo Bills 19. Otis Anderson, the game's most valuable player, 21 carries, 102 yards for Anderson. Well, let's move to the golf course where Nolan Hinkey won the Phoenix Open. He played in Arizona today. He finished 16 under par. But he had to work for the one-shot victory. Hinkey lost 3 shots to par on the back 9, and he found himself tied for the lead as he hit this approach to the final hole. But he put the ball some 12 feet from the hole. Needs that putt for the victory in the Phoenix Open. On the putt, the ball will move left to right. Watch it. And Hinkey will find dead center. Goes in the cup. The one-shot victory goes to Hinkey, and he picks up the $180,000 first-place check. Russ Cochran finished 11 shots behind the winner. Brad Fable was 15 shots back, and Fuzzy Zeller finished at 2 over par, far off from the lead. Coming up in Sports Extra, more on the Super Bowl, plus some acrobatics on the basketball court. Some dunks you'll like to see.
All right, look for that. Thank you much, Gary, and we'll continue here in just a moment. 2 Indiana newspapers say they will not carry the Doonesbury comic strip this week because of its ongoing Persian Gulf storyline. The Elkhart Truth and the South Bend Tribune say they are both refusing to run the strip because they believe it is producing offensive images of the soldiers in the Gulf. The strips to run next week were drawn before the war began. The editor of the Truth says he only decided after the war started that the cartoon was in bad taste to run. Up until about a week and a half ago, most people didn't even know one military aircraft from another. But the steady stream of pictures from the Gulf from the war in the Gulf has changed all that. Now the Harrier jump jet and the Stealth 117A fighter bomber are making headlines and making a booming business for model manufacturers. In Chicago, the Revell Models Company is working night and day to put out scale model replicas of the warplanes.
We're seeing increases of unit sales on the aircraft that are in Operation Desert Storm, increases in the area of 200 to 300%.
Operation Desert Storm has even inspired a new line of Revell models. A set of Scud and Patriot missile replicas are becoming fast and popular. Gary Rizzo just walked in and said it is all snow outside right now in downtown Louisville. Stay with us next for the Sunday Sports Extra, followed by 15 minutes of news from ABC at 11:45. We'll see you later.